Last tackle coming up for Tamworth City. Not much ground gained in that movement. Wellington, Sampson, boot to the ball. It's a high kick over the halfway line, almost down to the quarter. And it's picked up there by Trevor Connors. Connors, the fullback for the Moree Boomerangs, clapped on the pace. He's spotted a gap up the centre. That pass didn't look real good, but it's gone to McGrady, and he's held up only about 10 metres out from the Tamworth City line. Moree Boomerangs on the attack out to Porter. Porter's pretty close. Gone into touch, says the referee. Or rather, says the touch judge. And a menacing gap in the middle there for Tamworth City. That was a very good break by Trevor Connors.
Yes, Connors went straight through the middle of the Tamworth City forwards, found the support linking up with him in Ewan McGrady. McGrady then found Stephen Neen inside him, and then the long pass out to Porter, and Porter was just put into touch in goal.
Tamworth City back in possession. Paul Burke getting to his feet to play it. Wellington, Denny, Lachuso. He's caught well wrapped up there and thrown to the ground just outside the quarter line. And the touch judge coming in to make a report against Alec Connors. Alec Connors coming over the top of Lachuso in that tackle with looked to be a swinging arm. And Pitt, who looks as though he's the captain for the Moree Boomerangs today, is coming out also to question the ruling. Referee Steve Asbury pointing the finger to him, telling him that he's going to get sent off if he continues in that vein. And it's a penalty to Tamworth City RSL. Just outside the quarter line, David Sampson has the ball. He's going to find touch on the grandstand side of the field. Finds touch, gain of about 8 metres or so. So Archdale has the ball now for Tamworth City. Archdale taps it and runs forward, almost up to the halfway line. Caught there by Brian Tighe. Up to play it. It goes to Wellington, across to Burke. He finds Andrew Sayer. The pass then to Steve Denny, the log forward coming through on the burst. Can't get through the defence. He's caught just before the halfway line. Up to play it and goes on to Sampson and then to Mick McKinnon. McKinnon coming back in field. And strong defence there from the Moree Boomerangs. Lance Whitten driving him back in that tackle. On the play the ball, it goes on to Sampson. Sampson brushes off one, but he can't take off the next tackle. And he's caught just before the halfway line. And it goes from the play the ball out to Denny and across then to Willie Knight. And Knight is thrown to the ground just before the halfway line. The play at fullback up in the movement there was Doyle, and kicking through was Woodhart. Goes to the Moree Boomerangs. Connors well caught this time. About 10 metres away from the halfway line. Connors getting up to his feet to play the ball. It goes to Porter, onto Steve Neen, trying to step around them, and then got the pass away to Ewan McGrady. McGrady takes the tackle, up to his feet to play it from Whitten, across to Pitt, and then on to Tolmie. And Tolmie is tackled, but it's knocked back, says the referee. 6 to go for the Moree Boomerangs, so the Boomerangs in possession again. And this is Trevor Connors, the fullback, up to his feet to play it. Just outside the quarter line, Moree Boomerangs into the ground. Boomerangs in possession, trying to work play out with Brian Tighe getting to his feet to play the ball. It goes from Pitt to McGrady. McGrady out to Neen. Quick passing along the back line out to Porter, the winger. And he's well caught out there and run into touch right on the halfway line. 2 points all is the score. And we've had just on 10 minutes of play here at number 1 Oval. Scrum going down almost on the halfway line. Be the first scrum of the match, Shane?
Yes, Wayne, first scrum of the match. Referee laying down the law very strictly.
Yes, he is. He's taking quite a deal of time, as a matter of fact, to just make sure that both sides know exactly what he expects from them. And it's a Tamworth City ball. Andrew Say in possession for City, and he's speared to the ground, lost the ball in the tackle. The referee rules a knock on, so we'll have another scrum almost immediately. These scrums are going to be very important today. Both sides strong attacking sides, and they need plenty of ball. Todd Wallington not all that experienced in first grade. He's lost that one. It's gone to Moree Boomerangs. McGrady going out very quickly from 5/8. Pitt's at dummy half for him. Steve Neen. And got the pass away too to Pitt. And back then to Whitten. And Whitten was able to get the pass away, but I think it may have gone to ground. Yes, the referee is ruling a knock on, so we'll have the scrum about 5 metres away from the halfway line on Moree Boomerangs' end of the ground. 2 points all here at number 1 Oval. The first grade match, the reserve grade and junior grade games, both going to the Moree Boomerangs. Tamworth City in possession from the scrum. Doyle, half break, but well caught. About 10 metres away from the quarter line. Denny's a dummy half, spots a gap and goes himself, but it closed pretty quickly. And he's well caught. After his feet to play it. Says there now, and it goes to David Sampson. David Sampson well caught by 3 defenders from the Moree Boomerangs. 5 metres away from the quarter line. Tamworth City in possession. Across the back line it goes onto Willie Knight and then out to Kim Woodhart. And Woodhart is well wrapped up. Last tackle coming up for the Tamworth City side. Still 5 or 10 metres away from the quarter line. The kick over the top from Say is going to not find touch. Connor's able to pick it up for the Moree Boomerangs and comes back across field. He's caught just before the quarter line, about 5 metres away from the quarter line. Moree Boomerangs entered the ground. Philip Duke. A long pass then to Pitt, and then a long pass out to, in the centres there, Porter. Or rather, Paul Roberts it was. Out to Porter on the wing, and I think he's ruled a forward pass. Forward pass ruled by referee Asbury, so we'll have the scrum. Just on the quarter line, Moree Boomerangs enter the ground. Still no change to the score, 2 points all. City ball. Say, he's well caught. Scrum base, couldn't get away from the scrum base. Willie Knight is a dummy half. Walden trying to burst up the centre, can't quite get through. Knight's a dummy half again. On to Denny. A nice tackle by Steve Neen underneath. Tackles him about 15 metres out. Woodhart. Lechusa coming through on the burst. And he's caught about 10 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. Tamworth City in possession and on the attack. Wallington going from dummy half. Not quite through. David Sampson up at dummy half. Sampson with a bomb. It's a high kick. 2 or 3 Tamworth City players coming underneath it. Bounces awkwardly. Knight was underneath it and so was Walden. Walden for the try line. He's pretty close. Got the pass away out to Knight. And Knight's over in the corner. It's a try. Try to Tamworth City RSL. And they hit the lead, 6 points to 2. Now the referee ruling time off. He may have been injured, Willie Knight. Yes, he's gone down injured, Willie Knight. Scoring the first try for Tamworth City RSL. And that was quite a pretty good ruling by Steve Asbury. He was right on the spot, wasn't he?
Yes, he let the play go on. Boomerangs committed the fatal error by letting the ball bounce, and it bounced Tamworth City's way. The Boomerang winger, Stephen Porter, went up for the ball and knocked it down into the arms of the Tamworth City player, the winger over there, Wayne Walden. Walden was held, but he wasn't on the ground, and he was sort of falling to the ground. He got the ball away, popped it up to Willie Knight, and Knight dived over in the corner to put City in front.
Difficult conversion attempt for David Sampson. He's on the sidelines. Taking the ball right back to the quarter line for this conversion attempt. He's already landed 1 goal so far today, and that was from about 40 metres out. This is 22 metres out, and only a metre in from touch. Kicking into the breeze, going to hit it strongly again. Willie Knight's a pretty good player. He was right on the spot there. Tamworth City, he's made a good debut in first grade last week, and again this week. He's missed that kick. Sampson's missed the goal. So the score remains here at number 1 oval, 6 points to 2 in favour of Tamworth City RSL. This is Lechusa going up the centre for Tamworth City RSL, just outside the quarter line. Denny coming back in field. Nice little break, but a penalty to Tamworth City. Swinging arm over the top rules the referee. So the penalty to Tamworth City RSL. And Sampson's going to find touch on the Cable Avenue side of the field. Finds touch, good kick from Sampson too. Well over the halfway line, and going to about 10 metres into Moree Boomerang's territory. Walden. He's tackled, up to play it now. Wallington back to Sampson coming through on the burst. Strong defence there by the Moree Boomerangs. It's clear to see that their defensive pattern today is the thing they're concentrating on. Ball's gone back to Paul Burke. He's got it for Tamworth City, getting up to his feet now to play it. to play the ball. It goes across from Sampson onto Andrew Say. Had Willie Knight in support. Comes back infield. Still got the pass away. On then to Matthew Condon. Straight up the middle. Condon looking around for support. Couldn't get the pass away. Takes the tackle. The linesman coming in to make a report. As play continues, Sampson across the back line to Say. Say out to McKinnon. Not much room there. He comes back inside. Well wrapped up. The linesman still in centre field. Referee hasn't seen him as yet. Or maybe just letting play go on. Sampson going forward. And he's eventually tackled. Last tackle coming up for City. So that linesman standing in centre field as Tamworth City press hard against the Moree Boomerang line. Knight with a kick, and it's a high one. Underneath it is Woodhart and also Doyle. The ball going back in the air. And Tamworth City come up with it. Moree Boomerangs have the ball, in fact. And referee allowing play to go on. Still hasn't seen that linesman standing there with his flag up. Now he has. Took a long time before he saw that linesman. Now, I'm not sure what the incident was. Shane,
yes, Wayne, I think it's silly. The incident didn't really affect anyone. The player wasn't affected by it. He wasn't hurt by it. The play could have continued. The linesman could have come in at the break of play and then a caution issued. As it is, the play's gone on now for probably a minute and a half after the incident, and the referee, has sort of no choice but to sort of either award the penalty or keep playing on. So it's up to the referee, but it is a waste of a minute and a half of the game.
He's talking to Moree Boomerang's captain, William Pitt, again. And he's given the penalty to Tamworth City RSL. And once again, Sampson has the opportunity to put more points on the board for City. They've got a handy lead at the moment, 6 points to 2. Of course, against this Moree Boomerang side, very unpredictable side. It's, you need a lot more than 4-point difference.
Yes, very much so. You could be 20 points behind the Boomerangs, and then they decide to throw the ball around, and they can pick up 20 points in 15 minutes if they have to.
David Sampson, ball placed on the quarter line. This is not a difficult kick, considering the first one that he landed. It's just to the left of the uprights, a metre or two to the left of the uprights, and about 25 metres out. He has it placed now. As one of the Tamworth City players receives attention from the trainer. Willie Knight it is. Sampson moves in. And he's hit it all right. That's a goal. No mistake about that. So Tamworth City go further ahead. They lead by 8 points to 2. Play coming back to the halfway line, and already Tamworth City warming up a replacement on the sideline here, so the news is not good at this early stage, despite the fact that they have an 8 points to 2 lead. I'm not sure who would be likely to come off. I can't see anyone that's injured at this stage. From the kickoff, anyway, Woodhart has the ball for Tamworth City. A very shallow kick-off for the Moree Boomerangs, and Woodhart in possession for City. Up to play it, and goes to Archdale, runs in field. Net for some solid defence in the Moree Boomerangs, and takes the tackle. Todd Wallington's a dummy half for Archdale. The pass then to Andrew Say onto Matthew Condon, running hard up the centre. And he's caught about a metre or two away from the halfway line. Tamworth City in their own territory. It goes to Andrew Say. A pass out to Steve Denny. Steps in field. He's caught. Nice tackle around the legs there from Pitt. Up to his feet. Plays the ball back to Wallington. Onto Sampson. And he kicks, and it's a long one up towards the quarter line. Porter's underneath it for the Boomerangs. He's muffed it. He's able to go back and pick it up. It's a knockback, says the referee. And he brings play out about a metre outside the Moree Boomerangs quarter line. Porter up to his feet to play the ball onto Roberts. And he's caught. Gain of only a metre or so. Back to Porter again. Onto Connors. Running into the defence. Moree Boomerangs about 10 metres or so outside the quarter line. A little chip over the top. No one there for Tamworth City. That was a good move. Doyle was able to pick it up. Brian Ty kicked over the top.
Penalty.
And it's a penalty to Moree Boomerangs. Penalty to Moree Boomerangs. And this one is about 10 metres into Tamworth City territory. Ty is going to find touch. The Cable Avenue side, he finds touch about 5 metres inside the quarter, so the Boomerangs on the attack. Luke Tolmie coming up to get the ball. Gives it to Alec Connors for the restart. Straight into the defence. About 10 metres out now from the Tamworth City line. Moree Boomerangs trailing by 8 points to 2. Ball's gone through Pitt's hand, but he was able to recover and get it back to Neen. Neen's caught out wide. Gets up to his feet and plays the ball. And on it comes to second row Whitten. Whitten's about 5 or 6 metres out. Alf Duncan's a dummy half for Whitten as he gets to his feet. It goes to Duncan now. Duncan almost knocked it on. It went to Tolmy, to Neen. He swivels around on the tackle, tried to get the ball away but couldn't do it. 6 metres out from the Tamworth City line. Moree Boomerangs on the attack. Pitt to Philip Duke on the burst. And Duke is caught. Nice tackle around the legs from Say. Up to his feet. Plays it to Roberts. Looking around for support. There was no one there, so he kicked over the top. It wasn't a bad kick either. He's going to regain and score. Under the post.
The ball went over the in-goal line before he touched down, Wayne, and the referee said it's come off the Tamworth City player, so it's a line drop.
Right, now, the thing is we can't see that dead ball line, can we?
No, can't see it at all. It looked like a fair try, but he was over the dead ball.
Try, yes. He must have only been about a metre or two in goal. Anyway, it's a no try. False alarm. 8 points to 2. Tamworth City cling to this lead. Moree Boomerangs are still on the attack, though. They're still about 15 metres out. Comes from Ty, onto Pitt, back to McGrady, and then on to Barry McGrady on the burst, and Barry McGrady's only about 6 metres out from the Tamworth City line. He's up to play it. Paul Roberts, a dummy half, swings it across to Pitt. It's gone through McGrady's hands. McGrady was able to go back and recover, and he's caught about 15 metres out from the Tamworth City line. Brian Ty's a dummy half and goes on to Alec Connors coming through on the burst. There's a penalty to the Boomerangs. City inside the 5. And about 5 or 6 metres out from the Tamworth City line. A quick tap and the Boomerangs continue on with Steve Neen very close out wide. Only a couple of metres out from the line. Neen getting up to his feet. Plays the ball. It goes to Roberts. He's pretty close. Only a metre or two out. Moree Boomerangs close to the line. Alf Duncan tries to barge his way over. He can't get through. Neen's a dummy half. Got the pass away to Whitten. Whitten spots a gap and he's pretty close. Desperate defence by Tamworth City, able to keep Boomerangs at bay. Play the ball once again. On it goes to Pitt. Philip Duke overran the pass. In fact, it was ruled intentionally forward by the referee, so a penalty to Tamworth City and the pressure off Tamworth City for the time being.
Very silly there to take the quick tap. 2 points at this stage. We're still early in the game, and making it 8 points to 4, a try would have drawn them level, and the 2 points would have been vital at that stage, and it was an easy kick with the wind. They're using the wind, so they've got to take advantage of it in this first half.
So it's Tamworth City just outside their own quarter line, out of trouble again. Wayne Walden in possession. It was pretty good defence there by Tamworth City, though, wasn't it? Yes,
they held them out, but Boomerangs were one out. They were trying to barge in underneath the Tamworth City forwards, and the forwards held tight there, and they've kept the Boomerangs out. Now the Boomerangs are back on the halfway line with the ball, and they've got to mount another attack.
Boomerangs back in possession through a drop ball from Tony Luchusa, Tamworth City RSL. So it's Boomerangs in possession right on the halfway line. Luke Tolmy is a dummy half. Pitt, McGrady, little chip over the top. And it's picked up by Archdale. And Archdale is caught just outside the quarter line. Tamworth City's end of the ground. Doyle is a dummy half for City. On to Denny. Trying to step around Brian Tive, not able to do it. Woodhart's a dummy half for City. Spots a gap and goes himself, and he's through. Great break by Kim Woodhart. Only the full back to Beattie. Pushes off Connors, but was caught from behind by the cover defence, and the referee is sent flying. Steve Asbury takes a tumble, but he gets to his feet quickly. So does Kim Woodhart. And from the play the ball, it goes to Willie Knight. A kick through, and Knight's trying to win this chase for the ball. Porter coming across for the Boomerangs, picks it up. Almost, in fact, it was in his own goal area, so we'll have the restart from underneath the goal post. And Kim Woodhart found a nice little gap there.
As he went straight through the Boomerang forwards, he picked it up from dummy half and went straight through. There was no Boomerangs forwards there. One guy reached a hand out and tried to hold him back, but the momentum he'd picked up carried him through the gap, and it looked as if City might have scored for a while, but the defensive Boomerangs covered the mistake the forwards left.
Grant Doyle now for Tamworth City from the kick-off. It's the ball, and was almost up at the quarter line, about 10 metres away from the quarter line. Dummy half was Berg. Sampson's knocked it on. Knocked on both ways, in fact. So we'll have the scrum. And we've had about 25 minutes of play by my calculations. 25 minutes of play in the first half. 8 points to 2 in favour of Tamworth City RSL. Some desperate play there from the scrum. Came off a boot, rules the referee, so it's Tamworth City back in possession. Archdale has it. And he's caught in centre field about 20 metres out from the line. comes from Burke. On then to Steve Denny. Back to David Sampson coming through on the burst, and Sampson is caught almost in exactly the same position. Plays it back to Matthew Condon. Little chip over the top. Pitt's back to recover for the Boomerangs. He's going to run him out of trouble, but he's caught there by the defence and pushed back in goal, so we'll have a kick-off once again from underneath the goal post. Very strong defence by Tamworth City RSL today. They've got to defend up the middle. That seems to be the tactics that they're using. If they can hold the Boomerangs up the centre, concentrate then on using their own backs. As that kick finds touch, and it's a beautiful kick too, right down to the halfway line from underneath the goal post. So we'll have the scrum almost on the halfway line. This ground is not very well marked today. It probably was at the start of play, but the lines have now faded, and it's almost impossible to see any lines on the ground as the ball goes in. And it's a Moree Boomerangs ball. This is McGrady trying to step around his opposite number, and he's caught and lost the ball, and it's picked up by Tamworth City. So City in possession through Woodhart, and he steps out of a tackle. Nice bit of work onto Doyle. Doyle coming back in field, runs into trouble, and he's caught about 10 metres out of the halfway line. Up to play, it goes to Woodhart. Steve Denny, little chip over the top from Denny. The kick has been used quite effectively today. Wayne Walton was able to recover, but he's lost it. Back to the Boomerangs again. Porter has it for the Boomerangs. Moree Boomerangs in possession. Alf Duncan takes the tackle. Midway between the quarter and the halfway line, gets to his feet and plays it. It goes to Trevor Connors. A long pass out to Philip Duke. He wasn't ready for it and went into touch. So we'll have the scrum midway between the quarter and the halfway line. 8 points to 2. Tamworth City RSL holding a handy lead with about 15 minutes of play remaining in the first half. Scrum about to go down. Andrew Say putting the ball in, immediately a penalty. Incorrect feed, says the referee. Asbury's ruling very clearly there, very clear there, and the penalty goes to Moree Boomerangs. Penalties and scrums at this stage, Shane.
Well, at the moment, Wayne, the scrums are 3-all. The penalties favour Tamworth City 5-4, and the error count also favours Tamworth City with 6 errors. The Boomerangs 3 errors, and the score of 8 points to 2 favouring Tamworth City.
As Philip Duke from the restart takes play over the halfway line. Plays the ball now. Back it comes to Whitten. Can't quite get the ball away. He's held up in that tackle. Wellington over the top, finishing off the tackle. Play the ball, it goes on now to Pitt. Coming back infield, looking around for support. Can't get it away. He's caught by Burke. Thrown to the ground. Up to play it now. It goes to Philip Duke. And Duke then on to Tolney. Nice pass to Ewan McGrady. McGrady through the gap. Kicks ahead. Going to win the race for the ball. No, not this time. Although he probably would have won the race for the ball, it's gone dead in goal once again. I was prepared that time.
Yes, as I said earlier in the match report just before the game, the 258s, Willie Knight and Ewan McGrady, are the 2 danger men that each side has to look out for. They both like to get into a gap and use the kick forward and then out-sprint their opposition. Both of it have tried so far, and they're a little unlucky not to get away with it.
Tamworth City in possession. Paul Burke, David Sampson on a Miles Archdale, steps around Philip Duke, but then caught from behind. Ryan Tye, the tackler. On the play the ball, it goes to Andrew Say, then on to David Sampson, Steve Denny, Willie Knight across the back line. Doyle chimes in nicely. The ball's gone loose. McKinnon couldn't hold it. Boomerangs back in possession. Right on the halfway line. It's as though Tamworth City were putting on a good move there. Unfortunately, it didn't come off, and Boomerangs back in possession. And Alf Duncan takes the tackle about 10 metres into Tamworth City territory from Roberts. It goes back to Duncan, and he's caught. Up to play it, and it goes on now to Alec Connors, and Alec Connors is caught about 2 metres away from the quarter line. Brian Ty's a dummy half for Connors, and it goes on to Alf Duncan, rather. And he's caught right on the quarter line. Last tackle for the Moree Boomerangs. Once again, Ty's a dummy half. Going to kick. The kick was charged down. It's a high one. McKinnon jumps, takes it, and there's a penalty immediately for the use of an elbow. Penalty to the Moree Boomerangs, and this one well within kicking range. The referee had the whistle to his mouth as soon as Mick McKinnon got the ball. So a penalty to the Moree Boomerangs, and McKinnon just coming out to query that. I think, rather Andrew Say coming out to query it. It was fairly obvious, I thought. Porter now taking the ball back to the quarter line for this kick. It's to the right of the uprights, about 10 metres away from being in centre field. Not a difficult kick. He's already landed 1 goal from his only attempt. Maury Boomerang's trainer coming onto the field at the moment. I think he's just giving a bit of a freshener up to Steve Neen. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with him.
I don't think you'd need a freshener up in this weather, Wayne.
And Porto makes no mistake with the goal. So at number 1 oval, the score is Tamworth City RSL 8, leading Maury Boomerangs 4. Sampson with the kick-off for Tamworth City RSL. Roberts. Nice break. When he put his foot into touch, and it wasn't Roberts, it was Whitten. Now the scrum about to go down. 10 metres away from the halfway line. Lance Whitten having put his foot into touch for the Boomerangs from the kick-off. So it's Maury Boomerangs in possession. McGrady and Pitt trying to combine there, but the ball went backwards. Knock back, says the referee. Like McGrady again. And he's caught centre field about 10 metres away from the halfway line. Up to play it goes to Neen. And back then to Connors. Brian Tyre, dummy half. Back to Alf Duncan, steps over one. Runs into some solid defence up the middle. Todd Wallington getting through a fair bit of work there for City, the hooker. Boomerangs for Tolmie. A nice pass then on to Barry McGrady, rather Whitten it was, and Whitten couldn't get the pass away, and he's caught, and there's a penalty. A penalty for the Maury Boomerangs. Use of an elbow in that tackle from Paul Burke on Lance Whitten, so Maury Boomerangs a further opportunity. This time I think they might be going to kick out, though. This is just outside the court line. Tamworth City's end of the ground. Brian Tyre has the ball. Once again, Steve Neen is receiving some more liquid refreshment. Obviously not feeling the best. That was a good kick from Tyre. Philip Duke in possession now for the Maury Boomerangs. And they're pretty close. They're only about 5 or 10 metres out from the Tamworth City line. It's Philip Duke. Plays the ball, it goes to Tolmie on to Neen. Neen's pretty close, desperate defence from Wallington, and Condon hold him out. Play the ball, goes to Tyre. Tyre going himself, he must be pretty close. Held up close to the line, you'll probably hear a cheer from the crowd any tick of the clock if they get through, because there's a lot of Maury Boomerang supporters here today. McGrady throws the pass back to Alf Duncan. Duncan with a pass back to Tyre. Tyre onto Pitt. Can't get through, well wrapped up there by Andrew Say. Good defence from Tamworth City, forced him back in the tackle. And they play the ball, it goes across to Luke Tolmie. And Tolmie on the last tackle for the Maury Boomerangs is caught 12 metres out from the Tamworth City line. He gets to his feet to play the ball. Swings it back to Tyre. Tyre swings it back then to Pitt. A chip over the top. Coming through after it, Maury Boomerangs players has gone dead in goal once again. And we'll have the restart from underneath the goal posts. Also, you may have heard the crowd cheer when Luke Tolmie dived for the line and was very close. That's because you can't see the try line from the grandstand. They probably thought it was a try.
Very close. It's very badly marked, the lines here at number 1 oval. They're very thin. It's very hard for the crowd and for us to try and spot where the halfway line, the quarter-way line, and also the try line is.
Well, you can't see the quarter line at all, except on this side of the field. Anyway, it's Roberts in possession for the Maury Boomerangs. Throws the pass back to Connors. Connors trying to get to his feet now, plays the ball to Neen, turns it back nicely for Whitten, but he slipped over coming through. He's only about 6 metres out from the line. Gets up to play it, it goes across then to Tyre, onto Pitt. Pitt finds Tolmie coming through on the burst. He's caught about 10 metres out from the line. Back it comes from Pitt to McGrady. McGrady back infield, well wrapped up in the tackle. Last tackle coming up from the Boomerangs. Very strong defence from Tamworth City. Holding them at bay at the moment. Comes back to Pitt. Pitt onto Philip Duke. Shaped the kick and then went himself, but he's caught in the tackle and threw the pass off the ground. And the referee has ordered that there'll be a turnaround. He's not going to penalise Duke. Wallington has it for Tamworth City RSL. First changeover going to Tamworth City RSL. Back it comes to Denny. Denny again of about 2 or 3 metres before he's tackled. A new role for Steve Denny today in the lock forward position. Former halfback. Lachusa propped forward up to his feet. Back it comes to David Sampson. A long kick over the head of Porter. He's going back to try and retrieve it, and also Trevor Connors from the Boomerangs is there. And Connors has it for the Boomerangs. Steps inside nicely before he's eventually wrapped up after a gain of about 5 or 6 metres. They're doing it again this week, Tamworth City RSL are kicking on the second tackle. Have you noticed that so far, Shane? That was another attempt there on the second tackle they kicked. It'd be nice if they could hold on to the ball for a little more. They might be able to do something with it. Neen trying to work his way through the ruck. There's too many Tamworth City players there, and he's wrapped up and thrown back in that tackle from Paul Burke. And Paul Burke and Steve Neen have a bit of a swing at each other. They get to their feet. Still play continues. Across field it comes to Barry McGrady. McGrady is caught midway between the quarter and the halfway line. McGrady, it's Ewan McGrady at dummy half. Onto Alf Duncan. And Duncan is caught and asked to play it. It goes to Ty. Doesn't know what to do with it, but he puts the kick up eventually. And well taken there by Grant Doyle. A beautiful take under pressure from Tamworth City RSL. And it's City in possession. Archdale had a nice pass out to McKinnon on the wing. Back inside to Archdale, and he's caught. Then straight into Connors. Asked to play it on the halfway line. McKinnon at dummy half. It goes to Knight. Trying to weave his way through back to Denny, coming through, and he passed off the ground. That was pretty blatant, wasn't it?
Yes, very blatant that was.
Penalty to Moree Boomerangs. We've had about 35 minutes of play in the first half, so time running out in the first half. Tamworth City hanging on to an 8 points to 4 lead. And Brian Ty is going to try and find touch on the grandstand side. And it's coming down. Good kick midway between the quarter and the halfway line. Moree Boomerangs in possession, almost up at the quarter line as Alec Connors gets to his feet and plays it. It goes on to Brian Ty. Ty with a pass back to Duncan. Duncan on to McGrady, Pitt. Pitt takes the tackle, up to his feet to play it. Goes on to Neen. Connors up from fullback. And he's caught about 5 metres away from the quarter line. Steve Neen had dummy half for the Moree Boomerangs. Pass to Ty. On to Whitten. It was a forward pass. Good ruling by the referee. Definitely forward. Penalty to Tamworth City RSL midway between the quarter and the halfway line. Sampson's going to find touch. Play swinging from one end of the field to the other, and plenty of kicking in the first half. Really, I don't think the ground is all that wet to warrant a kicking game, would you say, Shane?
No, but the wind's playing a part of it. The Boomerangs should have a clear lead at half-time because of the wind. I'd say it'd have to be at least a one-try win, which is, well, 4 points, and they're 4 points behind. So at the moment, City are in control of the game. Their attack is a little bit better than the Boomerangs. The Boomerangs are going one out and then looking for the support, whereas City are setting up attacks and are putting a lot of pressure on the Boomerangs when they do get down in their own half.
And it's Tamworth City RSL in possession. Out to Woodhart, and Woodhart is caught. Thrown to the ground about 10 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. It comes back to McKinnon. McKinnon almost through the gap. He's lost the ball. Dived on by Pitt for the Boomerangs. So it's Moree Boomerangs back in possession. Pass to McGrady. McGrady running across field. He's well picked up there by the defence. Thrown to the ground just outside their own goalpost. Moree Boomerangs trying to work play out. Whitten. His feet, it goes on to Brian Ty. Whitten, Ty, out to Roberts. Porter in support on the outside, but couldn't get the pass away. And he's caught about 15 or 20 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. Pitt's going to kick. Picked up by Doyle for Tamworth City RSL. Runs upfield, he has support with him too. Well caught by the defence though. And he's asked to play the ball. Sampson is a dummy half. It goes to Denny. Little chip over the top. Neen was able to pick it up. Thought he may have knocked that on. It went to Connors. Trevor Connors. He's asked to play it now, just outside their own goal post. Moree Boomerangs trying to work play out. About 5 minutes remaining in the first half, maybe even less than that now. Neen. Connors. Or rather, Alf Duncan it was. Throws it on now to Whitten. He can't get through the defence. Caught by Sampson. Sampson's taken the ball off him. And the referee wants a scrub. Steve Denny looks sporting a nice cut over one eye. In fact, his eyes almost closed up. Scrum just outside the quarter line. Andrew Say to feed. All about to go in, goes in and out to Tamworth City. Willie Knight, support on the outside to Doyle. Doyle coming back inside, spots a gap. He's caught. Dummy half is Andrew Say. Say with a pass to Knight. Knight trying to weave his way through, and there's a penalty. Penalty to Tamworth City. As the half-time siren goes in the background. It's a penalty to Tamworth City, and so we can expect a Sampson penalty goal attempt. One on the quarter line, and about 15 metres in from touch. So if he can land this, it'll be a nice break at half-time of 10 points to 4. They played pretty well in the first half, Tamworth City.
Yes, they've put a lot of pressure on the Boomerangs. Boomerangs have had more of the play positionally, but when Tamworth City do get down in the Boomerangs half, they're putting a lot of pressure on them. That time there, it was only a tackle from a player in an offside position that stopped Tamworth City probably scoring a try on the other side of the field, along straight down along the back line. The Boomerangs were a little bit disorganised, and Tamworth City at the moment are playing well for an outfit that have been thrown together with a lot of people, with a lot of players out of the side from the side that played last week against Boggabri.
Now David Sampson about to move in. Half-time siren has already gone. Sampson moves in, and he's pushed it away. It's hit the upright, as a matter of fact, and bounced back into the field of play. And Woodhart has picked it up for City, and it's gone to McKinnon. Knocked down by the Moree Boomerangs. Boomerangs in possession. Knock-on rules the referee. That's half-time, and that was pretty close for Moree Boomerangs too, because City had a lot of players there if that attacking play had not broken down. So that's half-time with the score at 8 points to 4 in favour of Tamworth City RSL. 8 points to 4 at half-time. Tamworth City RSL playing good football in the first half. Good strong defence. A try by Willie Knight in the 14th minute. 2 goals to David Sampson. And for the Moree Boomerangs, 2 goals to Stephen Porter. That's the half-time score, 8 points to 4. And we'll be back with a resumption of play in about 5 minutes' time.
Your head down to your toes. Mellow yellow makes you feel so good, so fast. You just can't drink it slow.
Look out, mouth. Watch out first. This mellow yellow's as good as the first.
Mellow yellow makes you feel so good, so fast.
Make the most of every day, and wherever you go or whatever you do, a big taste is right there for you.
Coca-Cola is it. Coca-Cola always around. Coke is it. The real thing never lets you down. Coke is it. The most refreshing taste you have found. Coke is it. Coca-Cola is it. Great sensation.
Introducing the sparkling, cool, refreshing taste of Sprite.
Exhilaration.
A delicious burst of lemon and lime to satisfy even the biggest thirst.
Give your thirst a burst of real refreshment. Tangy and cool and clear and light. Give yourself a burst of pure excitement. Give your thirst a burst of Sprite.
It's the new Mazda 626, which features what the manufacturers call the electronic variable shock absorber. The system allows the driver to touch a button on the dashboard and select either a soft or firm ride. Alternatively, the car can automatically move to the firm setting when it exceeds 80 kilometers per hour. Mazda claims another first with the introduction of a 5-door hatchback version of the 626, which they say offers a combination of practicality and sporty good looks. The car also gets a new engine, which makes extensive use of alloys and weighs 26 kilograms less than the old engine. This 2-litre engine drives the front wheels and in highway conditions returns well over 30 miles to the gallon. The car is also offered as a sedan and a sporty 2-door coupe. It goes on sale.
There was a near miss, and the Moree Boomerangs player Paul Roberts dived on the ball, but it was in touch and goal. We have a replacement player on for the Moree Boomerangs straight away. We'll try and pick up that guy's name for you. I think he played in reserve grade, as a matter of fact. I think you'll find it's might be Barker or Johnson. It is Paul Johnson coming on, number 15 for the Moree Boomerangs. And it's going to be Tamworth City RSL to kick off for the second half. Moree Boomerangs with it all to do in the second half, Shane.
Yes, running into the win, they've got to do a lot of work to get back up into the game. They're only 4 points behind, but this win is worth at least 4 points, so the Boomerangs have got a lot of work to do to get back into this game.
And Philip Duke takes the first tackle up to play it. Boomerangs in as Johnson gets to his feet about 5 or 6 metres out from their own quarter line. Alf Duncan runs upfield, takes the tackle. Connors, Alec Connors it is, the prop forward, almost up to the halfway line. He's held up and asked to play it. And it goes to Johnson, out to Ewan McGrady. Looks as though William Pitt hasn't come out for the second half.
No, he was replaced just before half-time, and Paul Johnson went on then. Pitt came off the field. Didn't seem to be anything wrong with him. He just walked off the field and Paul Johnson replaced him. So disappointed Pitt when he walked off the field. He just shook his head and walked into the dressing room.
He may well have been replaced because his form was not up to scratch in the first half. I noticed that he and McGrady did not combine all that well in the first half. Tamworth City RSL have won the ball from the scrum. And they're in a good position too, because they're leading by 8 points to 4, and it's just outside the quarter line as Walden takes the tackle. Inches away from the quarter line, up to play it. It goes to Doyle, on to Todd Wallington. Straight up the middle goes the big hooker, and he's tackled 20 metres out from the Boomerangs line. Crossfield it goes through Andrew Say, onto Tony Lachusa, straight up the middle, turns around, got the pass back to Steve Denny. That's good work. Denny was able to get the pass away to Condon, across to Walden, and Walden caught in the tackle, not quite held. Now he is 15 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. City lead 8 points to 4. Willie Knight from dummy half. He's caught, thrown to the ground, up to his feet to play it quickly. Goes to Walden, onto David Sampson, shaped to kick, and then went himself and got the pass away then to Say. Now the kick comes from McKinnon. Underneath it is Archdale. He takes it, and he's just outside the, well, about 5 metres out from the line, but that was, of course, the 6th tackle for Tamworth City RSL. So there's a changeover, and the Moree Boomerangs are back in possession. Moree Boomerangs just outside their own line. About 5 metres into the field of play. Johnson. Back it comes to Roberts. The tall centre is caught. Dummy half is Brian Tye. Roberts gets to his feet. It goes to Tye. The pass to Neen. Connors overran the pass. And back it goes to, looks like Luke Tolmie, the hooker. It's caught. Plays the ball back to Johnson. On then to Whitten coming through on the burst. And he's held up. Last tackle coming up for the Moree Boomerangs as it goes back to Tye. And Tye got the pass away nicely onto Paul Roberts. Roberts with a pass back inside to Philip Duke. Duke has support with him too, and Tye's in the clear. He's spreading for the line. He has support out wide. It's going to be close. It's a try. Lance Whitten has scored over in the corner. Try to the Moree Boomerangs, and that was good football right up the length of the field. Well, there's your answer, Shane. Moree Boomerangs are going to really attack in the second half.
Yes, they did.
Lance Whitten over in the corner.
That try all came about by the Tamworth City player, the winger dropping back for the kick, and the Boomerangs with their own little bit of magic like they do. Instead of kicking out of trouble, they ran out of trouble, and they set up the try quite well down this wing. And when the winger was out of position, he was back for the kick, as I said. But the attack of the Boomerangs was quite good then. The defence of Tamworth City was good too up until that stage.
Yes, it had been. And the Tamworth City coach sitting on the sideline there, Mr. Thompson, not very happy with it, and nor he should. A lot of gaps up the blind side that time. Now this kick is a very, very difficult one. Can't see the kicker at the moment. We're obscured by a table of officials and a few other people along the sideline, but he looks to have it placed right on the sideline and at the quarter line. Stephen Porter attempting to make it 3 from 3 and put Moree Boomerangs in front. At the moment, it's 8 points all. Moves in, he's hit it, plenty of power. Now that's a great kick from the sideline from Stephen Porter. It's a goal and Moree Boomerangs take the lead. They lead here at number 1 Oval, 10 points to 8. That was a magnificent kick, wasn't it?
Yes, you wouldn't see a better kick on any day. Right from the sideline, Ross Conlon would have been proud of that one.
And Sampson with the kick-off for Tamworth City RSL. Downfield it goes. Whitten, the try scorer for the Boomerangs. Boomerangs in possession as Alf Duncan gets to his feet. On the tie. He showed plenty of speed in that last try, didn't he, Brian Tye?
Yes, he did well. He drew McKinnon to him and then gave the pass away. And McKinnon, who has got plenty of speed, could not quite get to the try scorer on the outside of him, which was Lance Whitten. And Whitten scored in the corner and McKinnon looked as if he had him covered. But Brian Tye did well with the pass.
And it's Philip Duke in possession now for the Moree Boomerangs in centre field, almost on the halfway line. Back it comes to Tye, a little chip over the top. He's almost able to regain it. He is able to regain it. It goes on to Whitten, and Whitten out to Luke Tolmie, and Tolmie is sprinting for the line. That's another try to the Moree Boomerangs. It wasn't Tolmie, in fact, it was Alec Connors. Scored for the Moree Boomerangs in the corner. And Moree Boomerangs really hitting back hard now. 2 tries in the space of as many minutes. That one almost from the kickoff. Alec Connors able to crash over in the corner and score, and he showed surprising pace up the sideline.
Yes, he looked like a winger in full flight, Alec Connors. He had no one in front of him. He put the ball down in the corner to give the goal kicker Stephen Porter another hard kick, but the way Porter kicked the last one, he should be able to put this one over without any trouble.
Yes, it's also from the sideline, and we're back to the quarter line again. Tamworth City player down receiving attention. In fact, the injury may have been quite severe, because I noticed a couple of Moree Boomerang players didn't watch the try. They were in fact trying to help the Tamworth City player get to his feet. It's been attended to by a trainer. Now Porter has this ball placed. Well, that's thrown this match wide open now. The complexion of the game has changed altogether with those 2 tries. 10-8 now, 14-8. Time on rules the referee. 14 points to 8. Moree Boomerangs lead. And Porter has the ball placed. And I think we're in for a very, very cold second half.
Yes, yes, the sun's starting to get a bit low and there's plenty of cloud coming over. Even a chance of rain, I'd say, by the look of those clouds over there.
Porter from the sideline. He's missed it this time, I think, yes. Gone across the face of the goal. Had plenty of height. Steve Denny is the player receiving attention. He's taken a battering so far for Tamworth City. He's got a massive cut over one eye, and his eye was almost closed up in the first half. Receiving attention again for that cut. Doesn't look all good for Steve Denny in the second half. Off down to Brian Tye for the Moree Boomerangs, and he has support with him, but he goes himself and he finds a gap up the middle. Eventually caught around the legs by Condon. Up to play it, it goes to Whitten. Whitten onto Johnson, across to Neen. Neen coming back infield. Caught there by Andrew Say around the legs and asked to play the ball. Back it comes to Duncan. Duncan got the pass onto Whitten again, and he's caught. Asked to play the ball. Back it comes to Tolmie, across to Neen, and then onto Ewan McGrady. And the ball goes on to Barry McGrady, and he's caught midway between the quarter and the halfway line. Moree Boomerangs into the ground. Moree Boomerangs playing good football. They lead by 14 points to 8. And Tolmie almost through the gap. Not quite able to get through, and he's caught just before the halfway line. Pass back to Tye. It was an awkward one, and he's passed it straight to Kim Woodhart for Tamworth City. You couldn't get a better pass than that. Straight to him. Matthew Condon on to David Sampson. Almost up to the quarter line. Sampson's tackled. Dummy half is Walden. Lechusa on the burst. Now Tamworth City have to hit back hard with a try. They trailed by 14 points to 8. They need a converted try very quickly. Pass on to Andrew Say. Tries to step back in field. Caught. The ball's gone loose. It's picked up by Matthew Condon. Got the pass on to Steve Denny. It's been knocked down by McGrady. Knock on rules the referee. And we'll have a scrum midway between the quarter and the halfway. In fact, it's closer to the quarter line. About 10 metres away from the quarter. Moree Boomerangs enter the ground. Tamworth City in the first half looked all right. They played good football. Strong defence, was able to keep the Moree Boomerangs attack at bay, and they led by 8 points to 4 at half-time. But in the second half, Moree Boomerangs, with that traditional burst that they have at the start of each stanza, 2 tries in 5 minutes. It's making a big difference now. 14 points to 8. Steve Denny bumps off one tackler, but then is caught again. Right on the quarter line. Denny up to his feet. Very slowly. Plays the ball back. It comes to Burke. Sampson. He kicks. Looks as though it might be a shade too deep. It's bounced awkwardly. Sampson dives for it. And he didn't get it. So we'll have the restart from the quarter line. A near thing. He could have well picked that ball up, David Sampson. The bounce came back, but he just wasn't able to pick it up. So the Boomerangs to restart play from the quarter line. The scrum penalty situation at this stage, Shane.
Well, it's very similar to the half-time scrums and penalties. Only the one scrum so far in the second half where Tamworth City won that scrum, so they lead 5-4. In the penalties, it's 7-all, and in the errors, it's 8-3. The goal kickers, David Sampson's kicked 2 from 4 attempts, and Stephen Porter's kicked 3 from 4 attempts.
Moree Boomerangs with the ball just outside the quarter line. Brian Tye, he's had a big game in the second row. Playing good football. Back it comes to Duncan. Back to Philip Duke. In from the wing. Little kick over the top. Philip Duke regains. Steps out of the tackle. Nice bit of work. Bumps off 1, 2. Not able to get away from the third tackler. And he's caught in centre field. Up to play the ball. It goes to Tye. Tye onto Steve Dean, a Tamworth City player down injured as Ewan McGrady makes a break and turns it back inside to Porter. Porter got the pass away to Alf Duncan. Duncan on to McGrady. McGrady sprinting up the sideline. He's going to score. McGrady in the score in the corner. Great football from the Moree Boomerangs. They certainly know how to play football. And the crowd coming to life now, the Moree Boomerang supporters. That player down injured for Tamworth City was Todd Wellington. Meant there was a gap out wide, and away went Ewan McGrady. So the Moree Boomerangs take now an 18 points to 8 lead. A try coming up in the 11th minute of the second half. So they've scored 3 tries in 11 minutes since the resumption. Ewan McGrady, plenty of speed. He had no trouble skirting out wide to score that try. Now Stephen Porter about to attempt conversion attempt again. This one he's brought about 5 metres in from touch. It's right on the quarter line, another difficult kick. But as we've mentioned a few times, he's been kicking very well. It was a 3 from 4.
3 from 4, won't you?
So he has the ball placed. About to move in. Todd Wellington is standing back on the halfway line. He doesn't look all that good, the hooker. Be a bad blow for Tamworth City if he had to go off. Now his kick is pushed it away. No goal. With plenty of height and plenty of distance, but not the direction that time. So the score remains here at number 1 oval. Moree Boomerangs 18, leading Tamworth City RSL 8.
Interesting to note that the Boomerangs have scored, what, 14 points in 11 minutes?
It's typical Moree Boomerangs football, isn't it?
Yes.
That was a very, very good try. Steve Neen, Philip Duke. Philip Duke was the instigator of that try, wasn't he?
Yes, was, little chip over, regathered, and they kept just throwing the ball around from then.
This is Johnson, a replacement player for the Moree Boomerangs. Had the ball taken from his grasp, and that's going to be a penalty. Penalty to the Moree Boomerangs. And those spectators who were at half-time heckling a few of the officials from Tamworth City are now quite happy that the Moree Boomerangs have got this lead. 18 points to 8. Witten, Tolmy, Neen, Tye, no one to pass to. Tolmy, solid tackle. Brian Tye, back to Johnson for the Boomerangs, a kick through. Doyle is back to regain it for Tamworth City. And he takes the tackle. Midway between the quarter and the halfway line. Moree Boomerangs 18, lead Tamworth City 8, and there's a penalty to Tamworth City that'll get them out of trouble. at this particular point of time anyway. David Sampson to find touch. Tamworth City have got some work to do now. Half-time score favoured them 8-4. They're now trailed by 18 points to 8. And we've only had 13 minutes of play in the second half, so Moree Boomerangs have really turned on the power at the start of the second half. Wayne Walden running into trouble there. 3 or 4 Moree Boomerangs defenders throw him to the ground. Up to his feet to play it. Back it comes to Burke. Burke, a set move onto Lechusa, and he's caught 5 metres out from the halfway line. Lechusa about to get to his feet. Plays the ball onto Burke. Burke straight up the middle. He's caught, can't get the ball away. Denny's a dummy half. A good run though by Paul Burke. Made some ground onto Sampson. It goes across to Andrew Say. Knight's knocked on. Picked up by the Moree Boomerangs. McGrady, the chip through. Barry McGrady's coming after it. The bounce is an awkward one. Picked up by Archdale for Tamworth City though. He recovers the situation. Comes infield. And he's caught about, well in fact just on the quarter line. Moree Boomerangs players throw him into touch. I thought the referee would have been quite within his rights to award a penalty there, because he did look as though he was held for quite some time before they threw him into touch. Anyway, he's put down a scrum. And we have a Boomerangs player down, injured at the moment. It could well be Whitten. Scrum is to Tamworth City's advantage as it goes to Knight. And Knight spots a gap and then kicks over the top of Connors, trying to pick it up. Porter's very fast though, so is Duke, and they go back and recover. Porter recovers for Moree Boomerangs. Well, against a slower team, that would have been a certain try for Willie Knight. But Stephen Porter showed tremendous pace to go back and pick that ball up. And it's the Boomerangs in possession, just outside their own goal post. They're about 10 metres into their own territory. Goes to Philip Duke. On then to Brian Tye. He's had a great game at second row, Brian Tye. Been at everything today. Played very well. Barry McGrady running across field, almost through the gap, but not quite able to get through. He's on the quarter line, taps it and goes forward. There was no one there marking him. Still going McGrady, looking around for support, and now he's caught and thrown to the ground. 5 metres outside the quarter line on Moree Boomerangs' end of the ground. No one out wide for Tamworth City as Tye kicks over the top. Boomerang still in possession. Brian Tye got the ball back, and he's ankle tapped and thrown to the ground just outside the quarter line. Last tackle coming up. In fact, that was the last tackle for the Moree Boomerangs, so it's the change over to Tamworth City. And Brian Tye, just unfortunate there that he was ankle tapped. He kicked over the top. It was passed on to Steve Neen. Neen passed it back to him, and he was caught. And that kick is going to find touch. A beautiful kick. And Tamworth City finds touch only about 5 metres away from the try line as the corner post falls over. It's pretty close to the try line. Scrum going down. Temperature going down. As the scrum about to be placed about 5 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. In it goes. It's the Boomerangs ball. Johnson, the replacement halfback, doing the job. Got the pass on to Whitten. Whitten stands in the tackle, eventually thrown to the ground by Andrew Say. Gets to his feet now, 10 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. Back it comes to Alec Connors, coming through on the burst, and Connors is caught and thrown to the ground about 20 metres out from the Boomerangs line. It goes to Steve Neen. Neen stands in the tackle and offloads to Whitten, looking around for support. Eventually tackled. 2 Tamworth City defenders there. Moree Boomerangs in possession. It goes to Duncan. Back to Neen, onto Johnson. Johnson is caught, thrown to the ground. Tamworth City's defence starting to look a little bit weary. A few gaps appearing. Back to Brian Tye. A little kick through, and it's not going to find touch. Walden picks it up and knocks on. So we'll have a scrum. And this one is midway between the quarter and the halfway line. I was about to write something down on the piece of paper in front of him and realised that my hand was so cold it had frozen stiff. So I'll pass that on for something later. Andrew Say now with the ball for Tamworth City RSL as it goes across to McKinnon. McKinnon swivels out of that tackle. He's almost up to the quarter line. And there's a penalty. Head-high tackle rules the referee, so the penalty goes to Tamworth City RSL. It's right in front, about 25 or 30 metres out. David Sampson looks as though he's going to try and find touch. Obviously, they realise that they need points on the board now. Tries on the board, rather. So he's given up the penalty goal attempt. and they're trying for the 4-pointer. Miles Artsdale, 15 metres out, trying to run around the defence, goes within a couple of metres of the line before he's tackled. Artsdale gets to his feet. Burke's a dummy half. Has Denny coming through in support. He goes himself, though, and is caught a metre out. Burke gets to his feet. Back it goes to Sampson on the burst, and Sampson is pretty close. Trying to barge their way over. Back it goes to Burke. Quick hands on to Denny. The pass to say was too high. Knight goes back to recover. Does so. Gets the pass away to McKinnon. Here's a chance. It goes to Woodhart. Woodhart out to Walden, and Walden's going to score. He's in out wide to score for Tamworth City RSL. So City head back. It's now 18 points to 12. And I suppose that try had to come as long as they threw the ball wide.
Yes, there was a big overlap over here. The Boomerangs were in a bunch near the goal post. They swung the ball out wide. City were a little lucky to get away with that try, a drop ball, and caused the Boomerangs to hesitate slightly. Willie Knight picked the ball up very quickly and swung it out along his back line, and that's what's caused the try in the corner, that little hesitation of the Boomerangs defence in coming up and knocking the man over with the ball.
A try coming up in the 20th minute of the second half. We're halfway through, and it was a good time for them to score it. Right back in the match now. 18 points to 12 with a kick to come from David Sampson. He has the ball placed 5 metres in from the touchline, right on the quarter line. Difficult conversion attempt. As though he's aimed it at the right-hand upright. The wind is behind him. Time on rules the referee. Boomerangs in a huddle behind the goal line. As Sampson prepares to move in. He's missed it. No goal, but the score here at number 1 oval remains Moree Boomerangs 18, lead Tamworth City RSL 12. Back to the halfway line for the restart. Well, they need a few more tries like that to get back into this game. That was a good piece of work in the back line. And from the kick-off, they've lost it. Moree Boomerangs back in possession. Alec Connors up to his feet. Neen across to Johnson. And Johnson well wrapped up there. 5 metres away from the quarter line, Tamworth City's end of the ground. Moree Boomerangs leading by 18 points to 12 as Alf Duncan charges up the middle. And it's amazing how the Moree Boomerangs seem to improve their game when they get a few more tries on the board. Before half-time, they were a little bit sluggish, but now they're running onto every pass and backing the man up, and it's tremendous football they're playing at the moment. Steve Neen with a shot at field goal. He's got it.
That was very smart thinking by Steve Neen. That now makes the score 19 points to 12. And now Tamworth City have to score a converted try and then score again. So that was very good thinking by Steve Neen.
So back to the halfway line again with the Moree Boomerangs leading 19 points to 12. And, well, you just can't think of what they're going to do next. The Moree Boomerangs, they play any type of football and it's all good. Lance Whitten running across field. Caught in that tackle and thrown to the ground just outside the quarter line. Back it goes to Barry McGrady. McGrady is caught midway between the quarter and the halfway line. He's up to play it. Back it goes to Neen. Neen on to Connors, it looks like. It was. Back now to Alf Duncan. Running into trouble. He's caught. Johnson's a dummy half now. Johnson on then to Ty. The kick through, trying to find touch. Not able to do it. Picked up by Walden. He's caught by Porter. Thrown to the ground about 10 metres away from the halfway line. Tamworth City in possession. Through Doyle, it looks like, the fullback. Pass away to Matthew Condon. Condon is caught in centre field, and there's a penalty to Tamworth City RSL, and going to call out one of the Boomerangs players. Calling out Brian Ty. Penalty to Tamworth City RSL. This one about 10 metres away from the halfway line. Sampson kicking straight at the broadcast box. Luckily, he kicks it deep. And it's Tamworth City in possession. Up to the quarter line goes Wayne Walden, the try scorer in the 20th minute. Wellington still playing onto Burke. Holds the pass up for McKinnon on the burst. McKinnon almost through. Got the pass back to Lechusa. Lechusa's dropped it. Referee ruled that it was a double knock on and will have the scrum about 10 metres out from the Tamworth City line.
If they score there, that could have made the game very interesting.
And it was close. Lechusa really only had to hang on to the ball, and he was very close to the line. It's a Tamworth City ball from the ensuing scrum. Andrew Say. Now there's a penalty to Moree Boomerangs. He was asked to play it. And continued to run. Penalty to the Boomerangs. And Brian Tye finds touch just outside the quarter line. So Moree Boomerangs off the hook. Stephen Porter with the restart for the Boomerangs. That was a very high tackle from Lechusa. And he's come off worse. And Luke told me he was able to stand up in the tackle.
Actually, Tommy used his elbow and swung into it,
right.
I think. And I think the penalty will go to City. It should.
And Tony Lechusa is lying on the ground at the moment, receiving attention. Doesn't look all that good as he gets to his feet. Very solid connection. And the referee is indicating, as Shane mentioned, that swinging arm in the tackle, and it's gone to the Moree Boomerangs. Well,
yes, Lechusa went high, and the hooker Tommy used his elbow to fend him off, so could have gone either way there. Tommy was a little bit lucky to get away with using the elbow as well, I think.
So penalty to Moree Boomerangs. And the Boomerangs on the attack. Alf Duncan plays the ball. It goes to Luke Tolmie. Tolmie able to get the pass away to Porter. And he's caught. Asked to play it just on the halfway line. Plays it on to Ty. Ty with the pass. Overhead pass on then to Tolmie. Tolmie able to get the pass away to Johnson. On the play of the ball, it goes to Neen. And a high pass over the top. Roberts lucky to pick it up. Got the pass back to Duke. Duke runs across field. Spots a gap. He's still going, Philip Duke. Caught in centre field, right on the halfway line, and asked to play it. And on it goes to Tolmie. Tolmie back to Duncan. Duncan is caught. Last tackle coming up for the Boomerangs. 15 metres into Tamworth City territory. It goes to Ty, across to Connors, onto Ewan McGrady. McGrady the chip through. He's trying to pick it up. Coming across is the Tamworth City player. The ball's gone loose, dived on by the Boomerangs. No, a knock-on rules the referee. So we'll have the restart from underneath the post.
Tamworth City player dived on the ball and forced the ball. He then rolled off it, and the Boomerangs player put his hand on the ball, and the referee said the ball had been forced.
Very close thing. Let off for Tamworth City. Restart from underneath the post. Don't the Boomerangs look good in attack?
Yes, they look brilliant. They're a treat to watch when they're playing this type of football.
Long kick off to Philip Duke. Runs up to Archdale. Can't get around Archdale and has to take the tackle just outside the quarter line. A replacement player about to go on for the Moree Boomerangs. Johnson running upfield. Back it comes now to Alec Connors coming through on the burst for the Boomerangs. He's caught about 10 metres out. Up to play it. It goes to Johnson, out to Roberts on the wing. He's caught 10 metres out. Play the ball, it goes across the back line on to Witten. Tolmie pass it to a Tamworth City player. So it's City back in possession. Let off for them. They're under tremendous pressure at the moment. Just outside their own goal line. Tamworth City trying to work play away from that line, trailing by 7 points, 19 points to 12. Moree Boomerangs lead. Steve Denny will play the ball. It goes to Doyle, and he's caught, thrown to the ground by Roberts. Nice tackle by Roberts. Doyle up to his feet, plays it on to Walden. Now the kick for line is going to be a good one, I think, although going back to retrieve it is Porter. The bounce is awkward, but he's able to pick it up. Not Porter, it was in fact Jarrett, the replacement player for the Moree Boomerangs that just came on. Michael Duke warming up on the sidelines, about to come on for the Boomerangs as well, as Philip Duke makes ground upfield. Michael Duke scored 2 tries in reserve grade for the Moree Boomerangs. This is Steve Neen. Nice pass to Roberts. On then to Steve Neen again. Neen has support inside. He's caught. Wrapped up by Doyle and thrown to the ground just outside the quarter line. Moree Boomerangs in possession, and the kick for line has found touch. I don't know what good it did, but it's found touch about 20 metres out from the Tamworth City line, and there's another replacement going on, as we mentioned. Number 17, Michael Duke, coming on. And what a great comeback it's been by Michael Duke to make it back into the first grade after a very serious injury in May. Had him on the sidelines. He played reserve grade today and scored 2 tries. He's back in first grade now, and Steve Porter has the ball, and it goes to Ewan McGrady. McGrady steps out of a tackle. He's still going, looking around for support. Cut down from behind, only 15 metres out from the Tamworth City line. It goes to Michael Duke. He's lost it. Dived on there by Willie Knight for Tamworth City. He recovers the situation. Now the referee obviously must have been hurt in that tackle. Referee ruling time off. So with the score at 19 points to 12 here at number 1 Oval, we'll take a break. Long delay while Willie Knight receives attention. 19 points to 12, and we've got around about 15 minutes of play remaining. 15 minutes of play remaining, and Tamworth City in possession now. City in possession at the quarter line. A knock on, so we're going to have the scrum. The scrums and penalties at this stage, Shane.
Well, Wayne, the scrums are 8-6 in favour of Tamworth City. The penalties are 10 all, and the error count is 11-4 in favour of Tamworth City. So the Tamworth City errors are the thing that's letting them down at the moment.
Tamworth City to find touch. David Sampson finds touch. And City trailing by 7 points with 15 minutes remaining. Badly need a try. Wayne Walden tries to stand in the tackle but can't get the ball away. Eventually thrown to the ground. Comes across to Paul Burke. Burke offloads out to Walden again. He's lost the ball. He had to lose the ball. He was only hanging on to it with one hand. It's gone to Michael Duke. Duke has it for the Boomerangs, but he's knocked it on in turn, and we'll have the scrum. This one just outside the halfway line. Referee Asprey has controlled this game quite well today. Boomerang's ball, McGrady. Barry McGrady came onto the pass at 100 mile an hour, but he was too quickly onto it because it's a forward pass, intentionally forward, rules the referee, and we'll have the scrum. I think it would have been shut the gate. He was right through the gap. That kick from Sampson is going to find touch right on the quarter line. So this is the chance for Tamworth City. 14 minutes remaining. Wayne Walden coming up quickly to take this restart. Walden running into the defence. He's caught 15 or 16 metres out from the Boomerangs line. Tamworth City in possession. Goes to Todd Wallington. He's caught. Has to play it. Burke's a dummy half. From Burke, Walden coming back holding his nose after that solid tackle. It's as though he may have broken his nose in that tackle as well. Goes back to Kim Woodhart. Woodhart asked to play it. Goes on to Walden, well, he's still in the game. Up to his feet, plays it back now to Burke. Little kick over the top, Boomerangs underneath it, and forcing it in goal, so we'll have the restart from underneath the goal post. Wayne Walden doesn't look all that good. Coming back to his position now as McGrady kicks out for the Boomerangs, almost up to the halfway line. And it's Tamworth City in possession. Kim Woodhart coming infield. He's caught by Michael Duke and thrown to the ground right on the quarter line. Up to play it goes to Matthew Condon. Matthew Condon onto Andrew Say. Out to McKinnon. McKinnon is caught 15 metres out. Ewan McGrady has gone down injured. David Sampson, 10 metres out, turns the ball back for Lechusa. The pass out to Knight. Knight spots a gap. He's pretty close. Running into trouble, though. He's caught about a metre out. And the referee now wisely rules time off because there was an injured player down right where play was centred. Now time back on again quickly as it goes to Wallington. And Tamworth City are pretty close. Sampson on then to Lechusa. Out to Woodhart. Woodhart to Walden. Walden diving for the line of forward pass. Rules the referee. And he's given another penalty to the Boomerangs for talking back chat from Tamworth City. And in fact, he's calling out Paul Burke. He's going to have a little chat to Paul Burke himself. One thing you do not do is argue a referee's decision. So Boomerangs out of trouble, and Ryan Tye is going to kick them further out of trouble. That was a try that Tamworth City desperately needed. They really needed to put a try on the board then. They're trailing by 19 points to 12, and about 11 minutes remaining as Michael Duke, back in first grade, charges up midway between the quarter and the halfway line. Dummy half was Tolmie, on then to Alec Connors. Connors is caught. Tolmie's a dummy half for him. Goes now to Tolmie, back to Johnson. Johnson with a kick over the top. McKinnon goes back to recover, makes a meal of it, but eventually picks it up. Knockback, says the referee. McKinnon in possession. Has to play it. Comes on to Miles Archdale, almost up to the halfway line. Archdale is caught. And he's injured. So referee ruling time off. And if Moree Boomerangs are able to hold the 7-point lead, it'll be the first time in 12 months that they've been able to defeat Tamworth City RSL. They didn't beat them last year, and so far this season they'd lost in the first round 30 points to 28 out at Moree. At the moment they lead by 19 points to 12. Now this player still down injured at the moment. Receiving attention, Miles Archdale, one of the key players in the Tamworth City side. Didn't quite see exactly what happened there. He's getting to his feet now, very slowly. It's as though he's hurt his ribs. He's able to play the ball though. Time one ruled the referee. Got about 12 minutes remaining, 11 minutes remaining in the match. David Sampson held up in the tackle and almost lost the ball, but was able to hang on to it. It goes to Steve Denny, and back then to Todd Wallington coming through on the burst, and Wallington's caught and thrown to the ground, and the linesman coming in to report an incident. Linesman coming in to report a Boomerang player, so this is obviously going to be a penalty to Tamworth City RSL. Luke Tolmie being spoken to. Luke Tolmie was reinstated to first grade today. He had been originally dropped from the side, but obviously selectors decided to give him one more chance at the last moment, and he's back in the team. He's had a pretty fair game. That time an indiscretion has cost his side a penalty, and they're right down now, Tamworth City right down in Boomerang territory. In fact, they're only about 20 metres away from the Boomerang line. Wayne Walden. Back it comes to Wallington, to Burke. Burke holds the pass up to Lechusa, lost it. Now it's knocked backwards, dived on by the Boomerangs again. Referee ruling a knock on, and we're going to have a scrum. So this scrum about to go down about 20 metres out from their own line. Ball in and out City's way, but it's eventually raked around to the Boomerangs. McGrady, legs cut from under him by Doyle. He's standing out on the centres, standing up with the back line. Back to Johnson, 6 to go, rules the referee. Moree Boomerangs on their own quarter line. Goes across from Tye onto Neen, and then got the pass away. Ewan McGrady has gone down injured again.
Cramp one.
That's the second time, isn't it? So another one was underneath the goalpost. He might have to go off this time. In fact, they're about to run on a replacement. This is the second rower from the reserve grade game. I'm not sure exactly of his name. Moree Boomerangs in possession. They're about 10 metres outside their own quarter line, and it's gone to Philip Duke, but it's a forward pass. Intentionally forward, says the referee. So it's a penalty to Tamworth City RSL, 10 metres away from the quarter line. Now with two rugby league commentators who will be very thankful of a full-time siren here. I don't think I've ever seen conditions as cold as this anywhere. And we're right on the 10 minute from the full-time mark. as Miles Archdale comes in. Crossfield about 15 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs. Archdale plays it back to Wellington, on then to Denny, looking around for support. He finds McKinnon coming through on the burst, and McKinnon is caught 10 metres out from the Moree Boomerangs line. Up to play it, goes to Wellington, on to Denny. Denny has support with him. The pass to Knight, well picked up by Knight, and lost the ball. 6 to go, rules, or actually knocked back, rules the referee. It's gone to Woodhart. Woodhart takes the tackle about 6 metres out. The ball's gone loose. Denny dives on it. He's got it, but knock on, rules the referee. Bad handling from Tamworth City there. They badly need to try. They've only got about 9 minutes remaining in the match. It may even be less than that now. And it's a Tamworth City ball. Let's see if they can do something with it now. Andrew Say on to Matthew Condon, across to Knight. McKinnon coming back inside. He's going to score. Mick McKinnon has scored beside the post for Tamworth City RSL, the try they so badly needed. And it's now, here at number 1 oval, the score 19 points to 16 in favour of the Moree Boomerangs. That try coming up in the 34th minute of the play. David Sampson about to attempt this conversion attempt. Has the ball placed right in front. He shouldn't have any trouble with it. Moves in. He's got it. 19 points to 18 is the score. So that field goal is looking better and better as the match goes on. That's field goal by Steve Neen. A very, very important one. So Moree Boomerangs bring the ball back to the halfway line for the restart. Philip Duke. We've only got about 6 minutes of play remaining. Everybody anxiously looking at the one ground clock that we have here. Of course, we can't see it from our broadcast position, but those on the officials' table, especially those Tamworth City officials, keeping a close watch on the clock. It's Steve Denny getting the pass away to McKinnon, the try scorer. Takes the tackle just outside the quarter line. Denny to Woodhart. He's had a pretty fair game, Tim Woodhart. Looking around for support, can't get the ball away. He's caught and asked to play it. Now it goes on to Denny, across the back line to David Sampson. And a long pass out to Wayne Morgan. He runs around Duke, gets the pass back inside to McKinnon. McKinnon on to Matthew Condon. He's caught on the tackle, but good football by Tamworth City. 5 metres into Moree Boomerangs territory. It goes on to Denny, on to Andrew Say, with a pass out to Grant Doyle. And Doyle gets the pass away to Woodhart. Woodhart with Philip Duke to beat, comes back inside. He's caught in the tackle. 10 metres out from the quarter line. Moree Boomerangs into the ground. It's the last tackle up for City. And Steve Denny attempts a field goal. And he's got it. A magnificent kick by Steve Denny. A magnificent field goal by Steve Denny, and that one was from about 40 metres out.
That would be probably the best field goal you'll ever see. That was an absolute ripper.
19 points all here at number 1 oval, and we've got 5 minutes of the match remaining. Play back to halfway for the restart. Stephen Porter has the ball placed. Well, now you're going to see some desperate attack and equally desperate defence. I suppose the draw would be a fitting result, but Tamworth City don't want to draw. And Stephen Porter's regathered from the kick-off from the Boomerangs. Great play. He's only 15 metres out. Moree Boomerangs on the attack. There's a field goal attempt from Michael Duke, and he's got it. No, he hasn't got it. I thought the referee...
That looked as if it went over.
It did look as though it went straight between the posts, and all the Boomerang players went crazy. But the referee, shaking his head, said no, it went away. So that attempt from Michael Duke has failed. 19 points all. We've got about 4 minutes remaining. David Sampson makes a break up the middle, got the pass back to Burke. It's gone loose, dived on by the Boomerangs. Moree Boomerangs in possession. Back it comes to Luke Tolney. A little chip over the top from Philip Duke. Wayne Walden not in position. Back to recover though. Saves the day, 5 metres out. Every tackle could be a match winner. Kim Woodhart now. 10 metres out from his own line, trying to run play out. 19 points all is the score as it goes to Paul Burke. Burke is caught. There's the full-time siren. It's all over a 19-point all draw. And I suppose that would be a fitting result for this game. A very, very good game of football, especially in the second half. Tremendous fight back, firstly by the Moree Boomerangs and then by Tamworth City RSL. And the Moree Boomerangs are still yet to defeat Tamworth City RSL. A 19-point all draw here today. The scorers, firstly for the Boomerangs, Ewan McGrady, Lance Whitten and Alec Connors scored tries. Stephen Porter 3 goals, Steve Neen a field goal. For Tamworth City RSL, Mick McKinnon, Wayne Walden and Willie Knight all scored tries. David Sampson 3 goals and Steve Denny that magnificent field goal with only minutes remaining from 40 metres out. 8-4 at half-time, the final score 19 points all. The earlier games both going to the Moree Boomerangs, and for his final comments on today's game, here is Shane Meaney.
Well, a fitting end of the match, a 19-all draw. I really do think that the Boomerangs were the better side on the day. Their attack was a lot better. They're an absolute treat to watch when they decide to play football. They throw the ball around. I think the best player on the field today was the lock, Steve Neen. He kicked the field goal that looked as if it might have got the game for the Boomerangs, but it took a freak field goal by Steve Denny to save the game. Steve Neen, he tackled everything that moved. There was one time in the game there where I counted that he made 5 tackles in a row when Tamworth City were attacking the Boomerangs line. So Steve Neen was my best player for the day. The penalties ended up in favour of Tamworth City 14-12. The scrums ended up 9-8. The error count was 14-5 in favour of Tamworth City. So the errors let Tamworth City down, and a fitting result with a 19-all draw.
So from number 1 Able, that completes the broadcast today. Tamworth City and Moree Boomerangs playing a 19-all draw.